City of Salem, the City Council Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, met in the council chamber on June 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the fiscal year 26 operating budget for the following departments: legislative, city clerk, city council, elections and registrations, and the veteran services. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 8th, 2025 at 2:39 p.m. In attendance tonight, we have from the Administration and Finance Committee, Councilors Stott and Councilor Harvey. Joining us from the Committee of the Whole, we have Councilors Masillo, Councilor Kwasniewski, and Councilor Varela. Also joining us tonight, we have Kim Emmerling, the Director of Veterans Services, Maureen Fisher, our Assistant City Clerk, Anna Friedman, our Finance Director, Mayor Pangallo, and Lisa Peterson, our Chief of Staff. And welcome, everyone. This is our Administration and Finance budget hearing for our fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. The meetings will run through mid-June. The agendas are posted on the city calendar, which include a link to the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget, and also the budget in brief, an overview of budget priorities, timelines, breakdown of revenue sources, and where your money goes. These budget hearings are a great opportunity to learn about what each departments do, their vision for the department moving forward, and if anyone from the public has any questions in regards to the budget hearings, please email me at amerkel@salem.com. And as I do every meeting, I want to thank Anna Friedman, our Finance Director, and the city's finance team for all their hard work on the proposed budget. It's always appreciated every year. And we will be starting tonight with Veteran Services. And this is in section 25. And it starts at the beginning of that section, which is page 579. And the budget summary is on page 581. And welcome, Kim Emmerling. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if you want to give us an overview of your department to start us off.
Absolutely. So
Thank you.
Here in our department is very small and it's pretty stable. So we've been the same team there for 6 or 7, 8 years now, and it works very nicely. It's all very well coordinated. The biggest change this year, and we do the same, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing every day, in and out: VA compensation claims, pensions, education benefits, whatever they call, a veteran calls or a family of a veteran calls for. You know, we try and network in those benefits or letters, whatever we can do for them. So Elizabeth, as you know, is my assistant, full-time assistant, and she does mostly the paperwork that gets collected up for these Chapter 115 benefits that we manage, state benefits that we manage out of the city. And she does that part, and I do mostly these days a lot of VA compensation claims with the most recent HERO Act and PACT Act passed on the federal and state level. They've opened a lot of options, a lot more options for veterans to file for compensation claims. And we've certainly seen an increase in those. But for the budget purposes, Chapter 115 has been pretty stable for the last 4 or 5 years. We run about 40 to 45 clients essentially, and so consequently, the budget really, you know, has pretty much stayed the same for the last 3 years, and that's all we're looking for next year is the same as it's been for the last 3 years. And we just kind of keep doing the outreach to increase those numbers if it's possible, to just reach out to the community and neighborhood associations and in housing to find those kind of clients that may be eligible for these benefits that, you know, if we didn't do outreach, they probably never will find out that they have it. So we do a lot of that as well. So and the biggest increase this year is really just the payroll and That's an Elizabeth, and that was compensated.
She was below.
Yeah, she was well below the average across the state, I guess, right?
For the grade.
For the new grade. So that's, she's been brought up to just get that equitably settled for her. So, and everything else is pretty much level funded, so.
Great, thank you. Yes, I'm happy to hear about the increase in Elizabeth's compensation, and made competitive. Yes, because I know how hard your department works. And she's a big part of that.
She is.
Also, your outreach too, and your coffees and all that good stuff. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Marcillo?
Thank you, Chair. How many veterans do you help per year, just roughly, to obtain housing, safe housing? Just generally.
I'm going to say 10 to 15 a year at any given time. I'm fielding questions for that, and because we have LifeBridge down here, and with the homeless community impact team with the police department. Anybody who thinks they're a veteran or is a veteran, they get me involved, and we try and find exactly if they are, and if they are, what kind of benefits they're eligible for. And quite often, it's from LifeBridge anyway. It's certainly housing and getting them into the VA healthcare system if they're eligible. So, 10 to 15 easily, each year. So.
And then the housing is it shelter at LifeBridge, or is it more of a permanent housing that you're looking for?
No, it'd be more of a permanent, right? So they come in, I think last year had 4 or 5 just people moved in. Not really a good plan, but they were veteran, and they call the office, and we try and get them settled with the VA programs that are out there and a couple of the state ones. If they're at LifeBridge, yes, we try and get them out of there as soon as we can and get them into housing.
All right, I understand that now. How long does it take generally to find housing for veterans?
Kind of hard to say because they're all in a different, they all might be at different stages already when they come to me. So if they come from LifeBridge and they're an eligible veteran, and we're going to get them into even emergency and housing, Salem housing, it's a 3 or 4, could be 5-month wait, even with them sitting there in emergency situations. So that comes and goes. And, the federal VASH, Section 8, VASH is a Veterans and Family Housing Assistance from the VA, and it's essentially Section 8 vouchers that are just specifically to end veterans homelessness. So, but that's a long process as well. So, and I work with a lot of landlords, and to see if they happen to have a place that they might be able to stay for a short period of time, maybe not on a permanent basis or a lease or anything, because for the federal program, they have to remain homeless in order to be on the emergency list. And the minute the VA, finds out that they're housed, then it's not an emergency anymore, and then it's going to go to really somebody that's living under a bridge. It's this cat and mouse game we play all the time. So,
okay.
So, and there is a home over in Beverly that's right next to the post office. It's a rebuilt, refurbished house. It's North Shore Counseling. It's named North Shore Counseling, but it has 16 standalone rooms in it, and they come and go. So we can put them there as, temporarily housed, and it's not considered permanently housed by VA purposes. So they can go there from anywhere from 2 months, and I speak to them all the time. So she always texts me when they have an opening, because they could be in there for a year, they could be in there for 2 months. If they're not causing problems, they could be in there longer, but it's really transitional. But those come and go, and sometimes, just connect the dots. If I have somebody that's eligible, they can go over there, they're still on benefits, and they're still considered homeless while they're waiting for a more formal place.
And that housing is only for veterans?
That's correct.
That's great. Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Very, very challenging, as we all know. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Prosnewski, did you have your hand raised?
Thank you. Thank you, Kim, for what you do for the veterans of this city. I know from our past experiences that basically no veteran falls through the cracks when you've been brought up to speed on their situations. And
Right.
from my understanding is that we have no homeless veterans out there because you've been able to find placement for them. So, hats off to you for being able to do that. We're in the process of granting a tax break to a parcel in South Salem that used to belong to the Salem State College, where they're talking about veterans and elderly housing over there. My question to you is, how big of a need do you think that we would, from your perspective, what's a percentage of what you'd like to see over there for veterans housing? How big of a need is there, if you think there is, or are we doing fine with what we have?
It's a very tricky subject. If you were president today, you're going to ask me, I'm going to say 100% veterans. But it's such a complicated process. I mean, if we can get any number of them, I'm always grateful. And, the mayor knows a lot more about it, but it really comes down to how it's getting funded and what the requirements are for that, whether on the state level or the federal level. So, and then, I'm sure the construction company, I'm drawing a blank on who they would be, but, whoever's building it, has their own deals going in for it. So, it's always good to see 10% is a good rule of thumb, I would say.
So with 40s, I think it's 475 units that they're planning on putting over, 450 or 475. We're talking 45 units.
45 units, right?
45 units, and I think that would, you feel that would be adequate enough to take care of the issues that we have going on now?
Well, again, I think it's good. 40 to 45 would be great, and but the problem with that is that if they're gonna lease up, then it's not really having a bed available for homeless people or a family that comes in. That's not what it's designed for. So it's a little trickier, I think. But even 40 to 45 in that facility or that area would be great. So.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to hear your input on what you thought would be a better number for us to be gearing in.
Of course.
That's how I was talking about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Conor.
Thank you. Councilor Varela?
Thank you, Chair Merkel, not being a member of the committee. Through you to Mr. Emerling. Thank you for what you do, as always. I want to ask a question about, I know with your goals and objectives, a new location that better suits veteran department, increased privacy and space. I know that, the VFW is a great third space for veterans. And can you talk a little bit more about, I just see a value, and I know that's something that's always been talked about, is creating another space for veterans that can congregate and feel, have another third space. Is that something that you guys are working on?
So what I was referencing there is just having a different space for my office and my assistant, who's essentially sitting in the hallway over there. So we sort of built this little corner piece, but it's in the hallway. It's, everyone comes down, and the phone calls, you can't listen to messages, and the people come in. Veterans are not known to have filters like some, so it's just craziness. I hear it out there, and I go, all right, stop talking, get in the office, which kind of stops me from what I'm doing, but it's better than having them in the hallway, talking about that. And just even phone calls going back and forth. It's just, so that's what I was referring to in that piece, was just to, if it's possible, and I look around the city all the time, so it's very, very challenging, I know. But, and then, for veteran meets, VFW, of course, as the commander, it's always open for veterans, and we try and do as much as we can to bring veterans together. And for instance, tomorrow, the Constitution's having a turnaround for D-Day, and I just found out about it last week, and I happen to know the guy, and I give me a number that you can secure for me. So six veterans and their family members are going from Salem tomorrow. That's all I can get. But if you told me 20, I would have 20 on there in a heartbeat. So it's whatever happens to come together, and I try and connect it all. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, great. Councilor Stott, and we're moving to the budget summary on page 581.
Thank you, Chair Merkel, and thank you, Kim, for all that you do. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval for the veterans budget personnel line of $160,009. I think that says. Yep, $160,009 and an expenditure line item of $410,800 for a department total of $570,809.
Second it.
Councilor Stott moves to recommend approval of the Veterans Personnel Budget for an amount of $160,009, expenditures for a total of $410,800, for a Veterans Department total of $570,809. Seconded by Councilor Harvey. All in favor? Let the record show I see 2 hands plus my own. The matter carries. And I want to say thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I really, and again, I always kind of close this out. I enjoy thoroughly working with the council and the mayor, and I let everyone know that Salem has never had a problem with veterans and veteran issues or expenses. And I let every veteran know that might be a little disgruntled with City Hall sometimes, that we do, the city does a lot that they never see. Of course, everyone who works in the municipality understands that, and I try and I make sure that they all are aware of all the things that you do and how you support our veterans. So I really appreciate it. So
We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you very much. Thanks. Thanks. So I'll see you.
And next we have our Assistant City Clerk, Maureen Fisher, joining us. And we will start with the City Clerk. These are all in Section 2. The City Clerk is page 273. And welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to start off with an overview?
Sure. So I'll start with as you mentioned, the city clerk's office. So the city clerk is in charge of all 3 offices, which is the city clerk's office, the city clerk's general office, and the elections office. So that consists of 3 different areas. So the city clerk that oversees elections, as well as the city clerk for the city council. And then the general clerk's office, which does services the public also with birth records, marriage records, death records, yard sales, anything else that the public may need at that. We're always there. We're like the heartbeat of the city. They always come and see us first. And if it's not something that we handle, we point them in the right direction on where we can get them to where they need to go.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the council?
I do have a few things to say. I'm sorry.
Oh, great.
This is new.
Thank you.
So just looking over some of the notes of the goals and objectives that were under city clerk, some notes that I took that I've noticed and things that we've done and things that we are going to be working on in the future is we do, under the city clerk umbrella, we had one person in our general clerk's office that took the bilingual assessment and passed, so they are getting that stipend every month. This person was hired, is a Spanish-speaking person, and had already been assisting from day one with our translation, also writing things for us, any signage that we needed that was bilingual. But now it's nice that they took the assessment, they have passed, and now they're going to get compensated for it. So that is definitely a plus. We also use a virtual translator in that office in case for some reason Lily is out. We do have it's like an iPad. It's a virtual translator that we use in all the polling locations in case we don't have a translator, and I can kind of get into that when we get to elections. But it does every language in the world that is available. So we just kind of click of a button, and if someone comes in and speaks a different language and we can't understand them, we click a button. It actually makes a phone call, like a video call, to a translator. we speak in English and tell the translator what we would like them to translate, and they actually translate in that language to the customer. So that works out. We have used that several times in the office. For Spanish, if we didn't have someone readily available to us, other departments that do have someone that speaks Spanish, they could be busy or off that day. Same with a couple people in our office, or they speak just a different language, and we've used that, and it's worked out very well. We have increased most of all of our transactions at our counter at City Clerk's to accept credit cards. So now when people come in, it's not just cash or check, they can use credit cards. With the exception of a couple things, one of them being the tour guide licenses because of the fees that have gone up. The company that we use, UniPay, does charge every time we swipe a credit card, charges the consumer anywhere between $2.95 and $3.50 to use their credit card. So that's up to a $100 limit. Anything over $100, they will go charge $5. So as of right now, we have not increase to use the credit cards for public guides, but that is something that we are talking about. It's just that the fee to the consumer is going to be higher. So it's kind of a way out situation if that's, if someone really pushed and said, I can only use a credit card, I really want to do it, we do have an option that we can do that. We just tell them it's a $5 charge because it's going to be over $100 credit card charge. But most everything else they can use their credit card for. The only thing they can't do is online. If they were ordering a record online, the only thing they can do online is birth, death, and marriage through the city clerk's office. Let's see. We completed January of this year a customer service training through our insurance company, Maya. They offer a program where they actually send somebody in and do like an employee assistance, and Eileen's scheduled to do a customer service training with our group. Also, we opened it up to anybody on the first floor, which are mostly the customer-facing offices, and we did get someone from the assessor's office and someone from the collector's office that joined us. The feedback we got after that meeting that we had was all the questions that our staff asked was top-notch. She said she was very happy with our staff, with the questions that they asked and the way that they would handle certain situations, that they definitely have very good customer service. We actually have another training scheduled for January. I think it's the 23rd of 2025, but don't quote me on that date. I didn't write it down, but it is January of next year. 2026. We did it in January of this year. We're going to do it January 2026. So we're going to do it on a yearly basis as a customer service training. I know that came out of budget last year, so we liked it. It was a really good program. The state has implemented a new training program a new death program called Maverick. It's their online program where we pull out death certificates. So we've had everyone in our office, the general clerk's office, gone through the online training with Maverick. We have sent 2 of our clerks out to Braintree to learn it in person. It is now just done the transition. It still has some kinks that everyone across the Commonwealth is trying to work out, but we are working with the state to get it through. I think even funeral homes are having difficulty with it, but we are working on that. And then one other last thing that I found notable was we try to switch this up every year and a half, is we switch the responsibilities for the 3 staff in our office. So you may be responsible to handle births, which means you record the births, you print the births, you archive the births, but then maybe a year and a half later, we're going to take that responsibility of the births away from you and give you the deaths or the marriages, just so that way it's good cross-training within our office. So if someone is out for a length of time and Eileen or myself ask someone to help out and pitch in and take over that responsibility, they've already trained and they know how to do it. So we just switched that up recently. I want to say maybe the beginning of the year or February. And now they've all pretty much all gone through the cycle of doing each job. So they like that. They like to learn something new. So the cross-training is really working. As for my budget numbers, we're pretty much level funded. Just like I'm sure everybody else, our salaries, we have union employees, so they settled a contract, so they got an increase, so that's going to bring up our salary increase line on that. And let's see, what else do we have here? I think everything else looks like it was pretty much level funded in that office, so nothing's changed there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was a lot of great information, and that's great feedback to get, from the training and to do the cross-training. And also happy to hear that the employee that had been doing a lot of translation is now being compensated. I think that's an important and a value. And also, I'll mention that for the agendas, I really like now that we're linked over to the backup documentation instead of having, to look through it all and find out, the specific backup that you want to take a look at. And so, yeah, that's all been notable this year.
Thank you.
Any questions from the council? Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. And the budget summary is on page 276 for the City Clerk's Department. Councillor Stott.
Thank you, Chair Merkel. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval for the city clerk budget, personnel line item of $384,156, expenditure line item of $13,870 for a department total of $398,026.
Second.
Councillor Stott moves to recommend approval of the City Clerk's Department's personnel budget in the amount of $384,156, expenditures in the amount of $13,870 for a City Clerk Department total of $398,026. All in favor? Let the record show. I see two hands plus my own. The matter carries. Next, we move on to City Council, which is at the beginning of Section 2, which is page 265. Any comments or anything you'd like to go over in this section, Maureen?
So some things I made notable on City Council is our new agenda software. We started that, I think that was the first meeting in February. I actually really enjoy it. It took a little while to ramp up to it. I like the way that it's going. We shall see next Tuesday. I'm actually going to start tomorrow putting some of the stuff in for the agenda, next Tuesday's agenda day, but adding budget to it. It seems to be a whole different beast of its own, budget is. There's a lot of numbers, but we did a lot. Kristen Sacco has been working with me with the numbers, and we kind of did everything on Word documents today, so we have it all set. And what's great about the agenda software is you can copy and paste it and drop it into the software. So not only will it show up on the agenda, but we'll also have it in there for backup, which will be nice. And helps us do the committee reports also. So we're going to see how that works. Hopefully it won't be a nightmare and it will all go smoothly. I keep my fingers crossed that that's going to happen. But it's going great. I really enjoy it. Some other goals that I'm working on or that I'd like to see happen, I worked with Councilor Cohen he had a meeting last week and he asked if there was anything he could do to help me. And I asked him if he could please send me any changes that he was making, any amendments that the committee had decided to make from his meeting, and what the outcome was. And he sent them to me in an email, and it was great because I was able to copy and paste it from the email, exactly how it was written, and I actually put that on the committee report, and his committee report is all done, and I already sent it to him. And it was very nice. So that's going to be a goal of mine going forward. It looks neat, it's clean, and then all of the chairs will actually have their committee report in front of them. And instead of just having what the action is adopted as amended or adopted if there's any amendments, it's going to actually have the amendments right there. So it will be right at everyone's fingertips. So that's something that I've come up with, and I thought this would be a good idea to have it going forward.
So we could see those committee reports even in the next week's council meeting looking different on there?
We're hoping, yes.
Oh, very interesting.
Yes. I work closely with Bobby in the IT department to continue working with the website and getting especially the city council page, fresh and new, and adding things to it, especially our minutes that haven't been added. I know there's a block of years that they're working on. They've hired someone. I don't want to speak for their department, but I know that they've hired, an intern, and they've been working on getting those back minutes up and getting those up and running. And I'm working with her to help if there's any way that we can help to get those up and running, because we do get, requests for them. They come to us and ask for them. I try to, pull the minutes and tell them they can come in and get a hard copy if it's something specific that they're looking for. But so I'm working with them and help that. And then any other changes that I want to add to the city council part of the website, I do call her and she answers my phone call, and we work great together about getting that up so I can at least get that information out on the website. As most of you know, we've hired a minute taker, Mary Beth Costello. She's phenomenal. The minutes are great. And she's doing a great job, and I have showed her how to actually load the minutes onto the website. So now once she does the minutes and she gets the chair's approval on them, she's actually going to be able to go in and put them on the website, and then she just brings them into the office, 3-hole punches them, and then puts them in the book. So we have a hard copy and a soft copy. So we have one online and then one in the book. So that's really good. But she's working out great. She's really good. I've worked with a couple councilors on updating their calendars on their iPads. I know Council Merkel, you were one of them. So I just want to throw that out there. If anyone needs help with their iPad or updating something, just, let me know, pop in if you're having an issue with it. We certainly can help you, or at least get IT over. If you have some issues, we can help do that. This goes with city clerk and city council. We have a new badge software, and I'm saying it in city council because you all approve the licenses for public guides. So in the old way of making a badge for a public guide, we used to type it in a Word document in a computer, print it out, take a photocopy of their driver's license picture, cut it out, use a glue stick, stick it on it, and stick it in a plastic, put the city seal on it, put it in a plastic thing, and call it a day. We now purchased it actually looks like this. I have mine here. We purchased a software program and the actual printer that prints an actual badge for it. So out of those, we have, as of right now, as of the May 22nd meeting, we had 145 licensed guides within the city, and most of them are at the 30 to 40 number people in their groups. So they're at the $350 per license. So that's pretty good for the city. That's a great income. So out of those, we have approximately, so from January to March, we issued the old badge because we didn't get the new machine in yet. We got the new machine in March. Out of those badges, which was approximately 96 of them, we sent emails out to those people that we issued old badges to, ask them to please email us a picture because we need it online. They can't physically bring it in. They do. We can download it ourselves, but it's easier if they just email us like a PDF file. We download it and then we put it in the program and we print out the badge. Out of those 96, half of those have done that so far, and we've updated their old badge to a new badge. But everybody else going forward from March until now all have the new badge. So that's good. So we are working on fixing, replacing the old ones. But we're also keeping current with any new license that's being granted. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, and you'll see that in one of the budget lines, is you'll see a new budget line for us, and it's under contracted services. And that's because we are working on getting our city council meetings, not only in real time translated during a meeting into Spanish, but also translated into the text of it if it's written, the transcript of it. So we're working on that. So you'll see a budget line for that. I think it was for $1,500. $15,000. So that's what we have so far, but we're getting some quotes and looking into that to get a program together. You will also see that there is, for our salaries, that's increased, and that would be the 4% COLA, that the, 3% COLA for the mayor, right, that was granted by the city council. And then as of January of 2026, for the first 6 months, so January till June 30th, the city councilors at that time will also see an increase because city council receives 10% of what the mayor's salary is. And then the non-union employees will also get a 4% COLA. So you'll see that increase also. You'll also see a small, not small, but some increase in our printing and binding line. That is for our Muni code. So when an ordinance gets changed and we have to advertise it, not only do we advertise it in the Salem News, which our advertising budget is crazy, it also has to get sent to Muni code, municipal code, and they put it online. And then they print the ordinance, the inserts for the ordinance books at the end of the year. So that, obviously, the more ads that we do, the more changes we make, the more ads that we do, then that line has to increase also. And then there is a small increase for the agenda software. You'll see that in there too. That's just a fee that we have to pay for that process. I think that's it. I think I got it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it has been great to have a minute taker. She does a great job. That's been super. And I have gone into your office with my tablet more than once, so I appreciate the assistance.
Okay.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Masillo?
Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of jealous that no one has to do minutes anymore.
I know, because you had to do
I can't tell you how many hours I've spent, but anyways, it's great. I mean, seriously, it's great. I just want to say that I appreciate how you've embraced the new systems, the new technology, the public-facing share drive. It really is a huge help, and it's a huge step forward, I think. And I appreciate that you like using the agenda software because it should be helping us, right, all the way through to the minutes. So that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I haven't done minutes yet on it. I think those are a little hairy, but I'm going to have a positive attitude.
Anything else from the councilors? No? Okay. So we are voting on the city council budget. It is the budget summary on page 269. Councilor Stott?
Thank you, Chair Merkel. And I have a prediction. You're going to do the minutes on there and you're going to love it.
Okay.
This is so helpful. But thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of the city council budget personnel line item $181,821, expenditures line item $97,136 for a department total of $271,457.
Second it.
Excuse me? The total?
278957. Sorry about that. 278457.
I think you said 271.
So I'll repeat that department total, 278,457, $278,457.
Second it.
Councilor Stott moves to approve the city council personnel budget in the amount of $181,821, expenditures in the amount of $97,136 for a city council department total of $278,457, seconded by Councilor Harvey. All in favor?
Just apologies, I didn't catch that this. I'm just gonna manually do the math. Yeah, I'm sorry, 278957. It must not have been, apologies, it was a mistake.
Okay, if I may, withdraw that motion and make a second motion. So the
Motion withdrawn.
The two line items are actually correct. It was just our math that was incorrect. So the personnel line item is going to stay at $181,821. Expenditure line of $97,136 for a department total of $278,957.
Second it.
Councilor Stott motions to approve the city council personnel budget in the amount of $181,821, expenditures in the amount of $97,136 for a city council department total of $278,957. Seconded by Councilor Harvey. All in favor? Let the records show. I see two hands plus my own. The matter carries. Let the record show that Councilor Stott has left the meeting. In pursuant of City Council Committee Rules, Section 29, I, as Chair, hereby appoint Councilor Masillo as a temporary member of the Administration and Finance Committee for this meeting only. Welcome, Councilor Masillo. Yes. Next, we are moving on to elections and registration. And this is also in Section 2. It is page 279 with the budget summary on 283. So 279 here. Elections and registration.
Okay.
We'll start there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so here we actually have our second bilingual employee, who is our Assistant City Clerk to Elections, Kissy Canella. She also has passed the assessment and is getting the $1,000 stipend. So she is doing a great job. She joined us in September, and she honestly has hit the ground running. She is doing a great job. She, we sit down and talk to her about it. We brainstorm, we need to do this, and she's like, okay. And she just takes it and runs with it. So she's a great, great asset to our team. I enjoy working with her a lot. Her and Eileen were working with our DEI director And they had several phone calls, conference calls with Rahena, and they to work with getting bilingual poll workers and translators coming for our upcoming elections and forward. We do have translators now in our polling locations, but a lot of the translators that we have, it will be like maybe one translator for a double polling location. So we may have 2 precincts in one location, and sometimes we only have one translator. So we believe it would be more beneficial to have a translator, one for each precinct. Kissy and Eileen and Rahena had been working together as a team, and they met with some leaders from Salem High School, also with the Salem State Civic Engagement at Salem State University, and Mass Hire. And they've done conference calls and Zoom calls with them, and they've gotten the word out. They've done flyers. They have sent out some applications. So they're working with them they're going to kind of put their feelers out, do some field work to try to get some leads, to get people to fill out, applicants to fill out the applications and bring them back to us. So we can really have a great pool of translators that we can always go to. Because it's a long day, election day. You know, our polls open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. And sometimes people can't stay and work all day. So if we can have a couple options for one day, someone can maybe work a half a day and someone else can work a half a day. And we'll constantly have the shifts covered, which would be great. Just a note that in the last couple of months, we've had several deaths of our poll worker community, which is rather sad. Some of these folks have worked with us for many years. Before I started working for the city in 2012, I was a warden at a polling location for 13 years, so I've known some of these folks for quite a while. So it is rather sad. We will miss them. But on a positive note, because we just had a presidential election, we had a lot of people, from this city that have reached out. They want to work. They want to be engaged. They want to, they feel like it's their civic duty to come out and help, and that's wonderful. So couldn't tell you how many packets that I sent of applications out to constituents and had them fill it out and say, yeah, we can use you. And we used a lot of them for the September and November election last year. And we asked them, will you, not just for the presidential, will you still work? We have a local next year. Then the year after that, we have a state. Will you still work with us? And they said, yeah, because they really enjoyed it. So we have a really strong pool of people that we can draw from, which is really good. I think it's the most that we've had in a long time. So that's a very positive thing. As you may remember from our last meeting on May 22nd, we have a couple changes to 2 of our polling locations. In Ward 3 at Salem High School, we won't be voting in the auditorium anymore. We'll be voting in the back of the high school in the small gym, which has its own entrance. And then at the Bates School in Ward 6, instead of voting in the gymnasium there, we're going to go back to the music room where we were voting for a long time. We actually had Bridget from the state come out to make sure everything was ADA compatible and kind of get the blessing from the state, and we did. So that went in front of the city council on the May 22nd meeting for approval, and it was approved. We sent an email out today to Deb O'Malley at the state to find out. I needed to get some answers to find out, okay, we've gotten the approval, the council has approved it. Is there a timeline that I need to follow by law to make sure that I let the constituents of the city know? Because I want to make sure that I do this correctly. And there actually is not a timeline, but Kissy and I already have the ball rolling. As soon as we get through the census cards that are going to be going out in the next 2 weeks, that is next on our list, that we're going to have a map done up for both locations. We're going to work on getting it out with some suggestions from Councilor Masillo and Councilor Presnewski about getting it out on social media. I'm going to get something out to all the councilors that maybe they can put out on their social media. Talk to the mayor's office about doing robocalls, not just one, but maybe, several, to get that out. Let's start doing this now, as well as doing a mailing out to, and this was all ideas that Eileen had, but we just want to keep going with that, keep that momentum, because we want to make sure the voters know and that they stay informed and they don't forget. We don't want this to be a last minute. Also meeting with Ray Joden from DPW. They're also a huge ally of our department to make sure that we have signage. We make sure we have our friends at the Salem Police Department. We have extra police officers on duty there, especially for traffic. Bates School, that's going to be a little bit different because they're going to drive around back and park in a different area. So have someone from maybe the traffic unit make sure that they're there signaling cars on where to go. So there's a lot of wheels to turn and keep going, but we're going to work together and we want to really start this process now. I know it's only June, but September will be here before we know it. And then the last thing I wanted to mention about Kissy and our elections office is that they have already started Kissy and actually Marilyn, who is one of our other full-time employees in the office, they've been doing a mentoring class series. I went through this process when I worked out in the elections office. And I really enjoyed it. So it's a group, I think there's 5 or 6 city and town clerks that have this mentoring series. And what they do is they meet in different areas of usually it's right around the North Shore, and they bring up different topics. They talk about different things. And you can sign up to go, and it's a great program, and you can learn. You pick brains and it's a small group. It might only be 15 or 20 of us. It's not every city and town clerk all in one area. It's actually a smaller group, and it's a mentoring class, and they ask if anyone's interested. And, Eileen had mentioned it to Kissy and Marilyn, and they really took to it. So the last class that they took was back in January, and they did the local elections and census, so they kind of did that class, so they've got a little bit of that under their belt. And the next one that they're going to is June 17th, which is becoming familiar with the duties of a town clerk. Now, I know you guys are going to be like, well, it's town clerk, we're a city. Well, there are still a lot of similarities, a lot of things that we do the same. There are things that we do different, and that's okay, but there is a good percentage of things that we do the same, so they can take a lot of that information, and that will be the same. There's just some things that are different, that's okay, but they'll learn. Some town clerks worked in cities, or there'll be someone else there from the city that will be able to give them some of that information. But it's a very good program, and they love it. They love going. It gets them out of the office for the day, but they're learning, right? So that's really good. So on to the budget lines. Let me just mention, we do have an election this year, in case anyone doesn't know. So just to let you know, the preliminary is scheduled for September 16th, and the biennial election is scheduled for November 4th. So papers are available if anyone needs to pull papers in the elections office. And the elections that we're holding this year is for the city government offices, which is the mayor of 4 years term. Councilor at large is a 2-year term. Ward councilor, which is wards 1 through 7, is a 2-year term, and school committee, which is a 4-year term. So if you want nomination papers, they're available in the city clerk's elections office during regular business hours until Friday, July 25th. And then you need to get your signatures on your nomination papers and make sure they're back to us by Tuesday, July 29th before 5 p.m. Those of you that have pulled nomination papers, please get them back as soon as possible so we can certify your signatures. Okay, thank you. That was my little public service announcement. As for our budget line, we have anyone that is non-union, we have your COLA raises that we have all received. And then, let's see. And then we are not having, as of right now, our money line does not include a special election. We could have a special election for the ballot question for the school project. Yeah, I'm going to let Anna talk about that because I don't really know a lot about it. So, Anna, go ahead. Thank you.
So the seasonal labor line that you see in the elections and registration personnel line, that's reduced because there's no presidential election this time around. However, as Maureen noted, what's not included here, in addition to the regularly scheduled elections, would be if the council chooses to schedule a special election for a ballot initiative for a debt exclusion for the MSBA high school project. And so if that were to proceed forward, I would recommend likely what would happen would be that there would be a request that would come before you to fund that specifically. And so if that were to be going forward, to put estimates together on what would be needed, and that would be a free cash request for that one-time special election. And so that's not contemplated here since that's not entirely certain. But once that becomes a little bit more finite, then a recommendation for a cost associated with that could be put together and brought before you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, no, that was a great overview. I really appreciate the focus on translation. I think all of that is super, at the voting locations, the information, what we push out, and in the services, the general overall services to the public. I really appreciate those efforts. And I remember discussing, the changes in the voting at the schools for security, talking about the public would not have access then to the schools and the students. So I appreciate that focus on security as well. And also, pushing out the education on the upcoming elections, where to vote and all the changes. Of course, social media and us that have newsletters, that's helpful. I know the Salem League of Women Voters and other entities are really, really very helpful in getting information out to the public. So I appreciate just trying to get at it from all sides and just thinking how else, how else can we push out the information? How can we reach people? So I appreciate that ongoing focus on that because, we want civic engagement. We want people to vote. We want people to get involved. So thank you for that. Any questions from the council? She gave us a lot of great information. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so the budget summary for elections and registration.
I'm sorry.
Did you want to focus?
I have one other thing I wanted to give you. I apologize.
Oh, please.
Because I did work on this. So there were some numbers that were originally submitted in your budget. Oh, I'm sorry. There were some numbers that were originally submitted in the budget book. And then Eileen had done some work on this and we talked about it. And then I noticed that she had done that. So I had updated the numbers and I wanted to just give you all a copy of it because these numbers are going to be made correct for next year. And because the more of the actuals that are there, I know that some of the reports that VRIS, which is our state computer, we were running per the state, they weren't giving us the right numbers. So when we were giving the numbers into the old way, it just wasn't computing right. For example, and I'll pass out.
And this doesn't change the budget summary?
No.
This is,
They're just performance measures.
oh, okay, got it.
Thank you.
Got it. Wasn't following that.
Yeah, and it's just for the elections department.
Yeah, okay.
For example, like it would show that, just one thing I just wanted to point out, just to kind of show what was different, was it showed like that we would have this year, we would actually have like, for early voting, we would have 3,000 early voters. Well, we're not having early voting this year because it's a local election. You know, we do mail-in voting if someone requests a ballot, but we're not actually having a physical early voting location. So that's why these numbers are all skewed and they're off. So they will be corrected. So I just wanted to give you the correct page, and then they will be corrected. And I think Anna just mentioned we could update for the final book.
We'll get uploaded online.
Yeah, and then it will be corrected for next year. So going forward, the numbers will be correct, and they will reflect the right numbers going forward.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay, back to the budget summary on page 283. Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Chair. I move for approval for the department budget for elections and registrations with a personnel line item of $254,718, and expenditures total of $56,650, for a department total of $311,368.
Second it.
Councilor Masillo motions for the elections and registrations personnel budget in the amount of $254,718, and expenditures total in the amount of $56,650, for an elections and registrations department total of $311,368. Seconded by Councilor Harvey. All in favor? Let the record show, I see two hands plus my own. The matter carries. And I want to say thank you to Maureen and your office and all the work you do. It's appreciated. I'll entertain another motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you.